Assalamu alaikum and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be talking about Vinícius Jr. and the whole transfer rumor, specifically not to a European club, but to Saudi Arabia. And before I get started, I just wanted to let you know that I'm wearing these glasses for one reason only. And that is not because the lights are too bright, but that is because I believe I have a pink eye and my eyes doesn't look really like the best, and I feel like it's better to record wearing shades indoors in my room. Anyways, that's besides the point. I just wanted to get that out the way, but I did want to talk about specifically about Vinícius Jr. and what he should do, and more importantly, what should Real Madrid do? Because if you guys didn't hear, Saudi Arabia is ready to pay Real Madrid 350 euros for Vinícius Jr. And there are also reports that Vinícius Jr. could be getting paid 1 billion euros. Now, if that doesn't sound crazy to you, there are also add-ons to his contract according to reports. But that is just the money and what he's going to get in his contract. Now, I just wanted to talk about this for a second and start the video off by saying that Vinícius Jr. did have a season that is for him to forget and for us fans to forget, because this season has been the downfall. I wouldn't say the downfall like 100%, but I would say kind of like the downfall from being Ballon d'Or contender and arguably the Ballon d'Or winner, true winner, to now a flop. That's what people are saying. That's the narrative. That's the media, right? That's what they're saying. But you have to understand that Vinícius Jr. did have 41 goal contributions that this season, right? One of his worst, which is, a lot of goal contribution for a season that's considered a flop. Even though he didn't stand out specifically in these big matches, he did, get some of those performances, right? Specifically against Dortmund, right? The 5-2 comeback in the Champions League. There are a couple matches in La Liga where he stood out. And let's not forget, he did win the FIFA Best Award, and not for this year. He won it 2 seasons ago. We're heading into this season that just passed by. So there are a lot of key moments, right, where in the Intercontinental Cup where he scored and he dominated, and he also got man of the match with a goal and an assist. So yeah, Vinícius Jr., he is, even though, the whole media and the fans want to say that Vini was horrible, I want to say he was horrible. And I want to say he was even the worst, right? Some people want to call him the problem to Real Madrid now, but I don't really think he is the problem either. If you saw the last video, right, or 2 videos ago, whenever I upload this video, Vinícius Jr. is not the sole problem for Real Madrid, and neither is Mbappé, and neither is any individual player, all right? So if you wanted to see my point about Vinícius and who the real problem is or what made Real Madrid go downhill last season, you could watch the video before where I talked about why Real Madrid had a bad season or why it went that way. So going back to the whole transfer and everything, like I said, Saudi Arabia wants to pay 350 million euros for Vinícius Jr. Like I said, I don't think it's 1 billion a year. I think it was 1 billion in the next maybe 3, 4, or maybe 5 years. But it could reach close to at least 1 billion with his salary. I'm sure they're going to have bonuses, and there's going to be packages, and there's going to be other probably endorsements or something that's going to Vini. So, if you guys haven't kept up with the whole contract renewal saga with Real Madrid and Vinícius Jr., Vinícius has been requesting for a higher salary, and he's been kind of going, back and forth, I believe, with Perez about increasing his salary, and I guess Real Madrid delayed it and pushed it away, and now the renewal contracts are off so far by the time I'm recording this video, and that's why everybody now is talking about Saudi Arabia. I think they just got back into the race, and I believe now Real Madrid, if I'm not mistaken, are giving him the choice. If he's not going to renew, I believe that they are going to want him to go. And I don't think that Vinícius is going to accept the Saudi Arabia proposal, right? But the reason why I'm thinking that he might is because why is he asking for a salary increase in Real Madrid if he knows that he is in no position to ask for a salary increase, especially how last season went? I really don't get it from Vinny's point of view, to be honest, because we all know how Perez and the whole Ronaldo thing went. So Vinícius, I'm not sure if he's going to get what he wants unless he wants to wait, and then maybe Real Madrid are going to wait as well, because I'm sure that Real Madrid don't want to let go of him, right? Besides the point, Vini loves Real Madrid. He expressed this so many times. There's so many times where he talks about staying in Real Madrid for long and achieving more in the club. However, if he does want to stay at the club, he has to prove first why the club should come first, right? So instead of him asking for a salary increase, he should just play and prove that he needs a salary increase. I don't think it's something that you ask. It's something that you have to prove to the club, right? And I'm not sure what's going on with this whole Saudi Arabia buying Vini. I'm not sure what's going on with Saudi Arabia wanting Vini, but I'm sure that if Vini is going to leave Real Madrid, it is not going to be to Saudi Arabia unless it's for the money, right? So he is looking for a salary increase at Real Madrid, but I'm not sure if he wants the money more, or I'm not sure if he wants the club more. So that's where I'm like a little confused and want more clarity on that. In my personal opinion, I've said in the past that this season is going to tell everything of whether Mbappé is going to stay, or whether Vinícius Jr. is going to stay, or maybe if Rodrigo is going to stay. I think that Vini should stay at Real Madrid, and without no contract renewal, I think that Real Madrid should see how this season goes, because I believe his contract is going to end in 2027, and Vini has to show what he can do and show why he deserves that salary increase, because like I said, it's not something you ask for, especially at a big club like Real Madrid. That is not something you ask for. Ronaldo did, and I guess there was no agreement, and he felt no respect anymore, and he left. And I think Ronaldo deserves to say that more than Vinícius Jr. for obvious reasons. I've already mentioned the on-field chemistry issue. I've already mentioned how there is no system, especially Vini and Mbappé. I don't see them playing together, if I'm being completely honest. I know it was just only one season, but it's like two people trying to be the man. And if it's Vini on the field, Mbappé shouldn't be on there. And if it's Mbappé on the field, I don't think Vini should be on there. So I believe that there's going to be a lot of like behind doors conversations that's going to take place in the upcoming days and weeks. I believe there is reports where the contract renewal talks are going to resume once Vini is back from vacation. So I'm not sure how that's going to go. I think that Vini might stay. I believe that Real Madrid is going to renew his contract if he decides to not get that or demand that salary increase. However, I think that Real Madrid should hold off to that and make sure and see what the real issue is, right? Some people want to say it's the system. Some people want to say it's the formation. Some people want to say tactics. And a lot of people are saying that it's a Vini Mbappé miscommunication, no chemistry between them. So we have to wait and see, right? But in my honest opinion, if Vini leaves, Rodrigo has to stay for obvious reasons. I think that Rodrigo is a better system player, in my personal opinion. Like, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care whether he's the man of the team or the face of the team. He doesn't care about that. I think that Rodrigo cares more about the team, whether he gets the goal or whether whoever else gets the goal. But I don't see that with Vini. I think that Vini, so far, based on last season, that he wants to be that face of the team with his attitude and everything. By the way, I love Vini. I have his jersey. I love Vinícius, and he's been my favorite player for a long time, ever since I started watching this sport again. So real quick, going over Vinícius Jr. and what he's accomplished, Real Madrid might actually lose Vinícius Jr. to Saudi Arabia out of all places. So, as we know, this guy just had his best season ever 2 seasons ago with over 40 goal contributions and the FIFA Best Award and, winning the Intercontinental Cup and, winning 2 UCLs and winning La Liga titles. We know that this guy's elite. Even though he's coming off of maybe a bad season, he still had 41 goal contributions, I believe. There's a reason why Saudi Arabia wants to give Real Madrid 350 million euros for Vinícius Jr. But Madrid's not actually shutting it down. There's not any reports so far. Nobody has reported that Real Madrid shut that deal down. Not even Vinícius. And the craziest part is that the club's probably open to it if someone activates that 1 billion euro release clause. 1 billion, and there's only one country that could do that, and that's Saudi Arabia. Meanwhile, Vini wants a new contract, like I believe it's 20 million euros a year, which if I'm being completely honest, he could have gotten that 2 seasons ago. But to demand that after the season that just passed by is not a good sign for Vinícius Jr. And then when you think about Real Madrid, you also think about Mbappé. As we all know, those two barely link up on the pitch. Less than 15% of their passes go to each other. If I tell you to recall me a time where Vinícius or Mbappé passed to one another, you can't recall that, right? You have 2 generational stars on the same team with zero chemistry, which is why Vinícius to Saudi Arabia might be an actual favorite move to happen. Vinícius loves Madrid and he wants to stay in Madrid. However, if this backdoor conversation, if this backdoor tension keeps rising, I don't see Vinícius staying, and there might be a possibility that he does go to Saudi Arabia. It's hard to say no to get that much money for a player. So let me know what you think. If there's anybody out there watching, put it in the comments below, and I'll be responding to them like always. Is Vinícius staying? Is he leaving? To what club? Is he accepting that Saudi proposal? Is Real Madrid going to negotiate? Let me know what you think. And until then, I will see you next time. Assalamu alaikum.